And joining us now from New York, Anthony Scaramucci, the one-time White House communications director. Look, you've worked with President Trump on this ABC interview. Why didn't he just say, yeah, of course I would call the FBI? Why did he give his detractors such fodder in his answers to George Stephanopoulos?
Well, you know, listen, in fairness to the president, the precept, the first clause was about his son, and I think he was being defensive about Don Jr., and he was trying to explain that, you know, that he thought that there was a lot of innocence related to Don Jr., and so there's where I think the defense was coming in. But look, he walked it back, and the problem now is that the media, the social media, Howie, everybody's on top of him, and they're dissecting every single syllable and every sentence and so forth. And I get all that, but we're going into the election season. We're going to be focusing more on results than we are that sort of stuff.
I
understand. But I think that's what caused him to.
I agree with
say
you
it the way
about
he said
this
it.
part about his son. I understand you've spoken to the president. Does he have any regrets about the way he handled the ABC sit down?
No, I don't think so. I don't think the president has any regrets. I mean, at the end of the day, he has a certain style. If you look at the approval ratings and you look at things like the CNN poll, 54% of the American people think he's going to win re-election. And so I think he's got a style. He's sticking to that style. And you can't really look at the economy, Howie, and say, wow, the economy's going badly. I mean, he's got so many things going for him in the right direction. I mean, I would just say to him, let's just focus on your economic achievements. You've got so many of them. There's no reason to get caught in these, like, crossfires with the media.
Right. Now, you say he walked it back with Fox and Friends, and I agree with you. But you can't take the position that, well, he didn't say anything wrong, but then he walked it back. So if you had still been communications director, you would have advised him to clarify and put this controversy behind him?
Yeah, absolutely. We say, look, you gotta walk that back, and I get it. Listen, I mean, here's the thing. He is the president of the United States, and like he has said on Twitter, sometimes he really believes that when he's acting non-presidential on Twitter, by his own admission, it's in order to save his presidency. He sort of feels like the attacks are coming in such a way that if he doesn't fight back, you know, he doesn't want to end up like George W. Bush in 2006, where there was an onslaught of media. The president took the position of not fighting back. John Kerry, during the attack that they gave on him on the Swift boat incident, did not fight back.
Right.
These guys got rolled, and the president's opinion is, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to come after these guys with the level of viciousness that they're coming after me. And then, but the issue is, you are the president of the United States and the leader of the free world. You've already won. And so his response would be, yeah, but sometimes I need to do that in order to protect the presidency. So I think that's where we are.
You say actually to save the presidency, and I know he views that communications channel as crucial to getting his message out. Look, Sarah Huckabee Sanders is leaving. You worked with her at the White House. I know you think very highly of her. Do you think the battering that she took in the press, being called a liar, and sometimes outrageous personal abuse, she was chased out of that restaurant in Virginia, took its toll in terms of her decision to leave?
Well, yeah, listen, I mean, you have to put it in the context. You know, she's got young children, and that is a 24/7 job.
Absolutely.
And if you're burning for 3.5 years, counting the campaign, I was frankly surprised she didn't leave 6 months or even a year ago, and only because of the stress of the job and the burnout there. But I thought she did an amazing job. And here's the thing, okay? Go look at where we are today. Dwight Eisenhower lied about the U-2. They told him to say it was a weather balloon. You didn't have the social media that you have today. Unfortunately, people get caught in situations where they make mistakes or say things that are not honest, okay? And she owned up to that, and I respect her for it. I challenge anybody listening or anybody in the media, have you never said anything you wish you didn't say?
Well, yeah,
I know I certainly have, Howie, trust me.
You admit it right here on national television. All right, quick lightning round. I know you're not coming back to the White House. You said you'd be open to it. If you did, would you be in favor of restoring daily press briefings, which is essentially banished?
Well, I obviously would do that. I think that's in the president's best interest. I don't like the enemy of the people thing. He likes it, so he'll use it every single day. But I just think that you have people in power. The founding fathers wanted those people to be checked, and they wanted the American people to be briefed. And certainly it's 243 years later, and the style of briefing today is different than what it was when it started.
Let me jump in. Does Donald Trump really need a press secretary since he does so much with the media himself? I mean, your old job, communications director, has been vacant for months. Does he need a press secretary?
Well, I would say that's in the president's favor. I think that he has been very transparent. He goes out into those sprays, and he takes one question after the next. And I would love to have people add up all of the times that he's had his own quote-unquote virtual press conference, either in the East Room or in front of the press on the way to the helicopter. I think you'd have to say he's probably more accessible than the last 2 or 3 presidents that way out.
No question about that. Before you go, over the weekend, you got into a Twitter battle with NILS LOFGREN, the rock star, sometimes has played with Springsteen. Now, he started it. He called you a nitwit trying to get a job back in the White House. You called him a second fiddle with a 10th fiddle intellect. You said nobody knows who he is. I actually have some of his albums, so I know who he is. David Crosby weighed in and backed NILS. Should you be trading licks with a guy who plays guitar for a living?
Hey, listen, you know, he started punching at me, and my attitude is I'm a New Yorker. This is why most New Yorkers respect the president's punchback. He started with me. Point is, I'm a stranger, doesn't know me from a hole in the wall. There's no reason to be attacking me. So I just thought I'd give him a few shots. And the good news for him is it raised his profile, and hopefully he'll sell more albums. I have nothing against NILS, and I wish him the best. But why take a shot at me? I'm not doing anything to you. You know, go live your life. I'm living my life. Go look at my Twitter feed, Howie. I never take a shot at anybody unless they're coming after me.
Well, you're a high-profile guy, so you're taking the president's approach. You counter-punch, and you certainly
not always. No, not always.
Well, maybe you
believe me.
Maybe you help raise his profile. We'll see.
Just once in a while. I'm looking at it, I was like, what the hell is this guy doing?
Right.
But I mean, in most cases, no.
Mooch, good to see you. Got to go.
All right.